I am unashamed. What about you?
We're in Nashville, which is strange because teal season has begun.
So you're missing. And you're here.
And I've looked around.
And there's no teal.
Well,
there's no water.
I'm in a concrete jungle
there's
here.
There's a river right down there, but I don't know if what is that? The Tennessee
Did it start
River?
today? Teal season started today?
No,
it started last.
I haven't duck hunted in 2 years.
You know why?
Because I live in North Carolina.
Because your dad was a yuppie of yuppies.
It's all Gordo's fault.
Well, I anticipate to come down this year, maybe do a little duck hunting. So maybe you can get me in the duck line, Jase.
What happened is Dallas reached out and he was like, I'm going to be in Nashville. Let's do a podcast together. And they had, in Louisiana, cut teal season from 16 days to 8.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
They said the numbers were low. And so I thought, well, there's not a whole lot of teal this year, evidently. And it wasn't worth us setting up our place to teal hunt for just a week.
Yeah.
So we were like, we'll put a little water out there, basically a pond, just in case some come by. And I'm going to go to Nashville and do some podcasts and spend time with the family, among other things. And I'm just going to hunt opening day, which was last Saturday. So in our world, I don't even know what today is.
Today's Wednesday.
Today's Wednesday. So I hunted opening day, and I have not hunted since.
Did y'all kill them?
Well, I'm fixed to tell you a story. So I got to tell you this. So our expectations were so low. We're basically hunting the smallest form of a pond that you can hunt. We have just enough water to basically shoot across.
Yeah.
There had been no teal sighted in the 2 weeks before opening day until the day before. Jay went out there to put the decoys out, and there were 4 teal
in the little water.
In the little pothole.
So now you got hope.
Well, everybody, we were like, we're going to get those 4. The only problem was when he went, we have another little pond across in the woods across the road, and which we own. But when he went there, the same 4 teal got up, had to be, because he jumped them up. They went that way. He then goes and just looks at it. Well, those 4 teal, I was like, they're not coming back. You scared them twice.
Yeah.
So they're going to Mexico. But our expectations, there were, because part of a duck hunter is you got to think, is it possible for a duck to even come here? And we had hope. So I was the only one. We get up, it's opening day, and everybody was like, we're not going to, the expectations were low. But I said, I think we're going to get them. Just because those 4, I thought it is possible. So we get in the blind, and it was 5 of us. It was me. This is the reason I'm telling you this is because quite the story evolved. It's me,
somehow I knew
Jay, Burley from Colorado.
Burley made an appearance.
Well, because he got asked to speak at Celebrate Recovery, and he's like, even though that was 5 days before teal season opened, he
just stayed late.
What's 5 days?
It's 5 days to a man like Burley.
Exactly.
And to Burley's credit, he was a warrior, in the last days of my dad's
phenomenal.
life. He is a nurse.
Yeah.
And but he basically stayed bedside with my dad the last 36 hours probably.
And it told me years ago, when he became a nurse, he said, when the time comes, I want to be there to help shepherd your dad across the other side. And I mean, to his credit,
he did.
He was loving yet. Now, if no one has ever seen Burley, we'll have to find.
He's not the nurse you want to look up. He doesn't have the face or the.
Dad used to always say, and me would say, if you wake up from a surgery and Burley's walking towards you, you might think you didn't make it.
He has what I've described. He has an angel of death look. So if you wake up, you thought,
"Oh no,
here's the angel of death." He's just a massive human. That's why he got his nickname.
I mean,
he played football for a year at the University of Oklahoma, so that tells you right there. You don't play it.
Probably played what, defensive line?
He was in the defense, linebacker.
Yeah. So Phil nicknamed him Burley because,
and his dad was Big Boy.
Yep.
Yeah. My dad
also
thought it
football
just means a large human, but actually, this is interesting. When Burley looked up in the Webster's dictionary the definition of Burley, because he thought, I guess, Mr. Phil's going to keep calling me Burley.
Yeah. they need
It
to
said
find out what it
large
means.
black man. And that's what it said. And so, true story.
Now that I didn't know. Zach's looking it up.
Well,
now.
that's-
they probably changed it.
No,
now, Zach.
don't get offended. That's what the dictionary said. And,
Yeah.
and Burley was like, what's the deal, Phil? And Phil said, I don't know where they got that from. I just thought
Physically large, strong, sturdy. Usually describe someone who's big, muscular, heavy set, who looks powerful. I mean,
Yeah.
he has all of those things.
Yeah.
They've changed.
Yeah.
They changed.
Well, they probably
Yeah.
changed the meaning. But whatever dictionary he looked up, that's what it said, which, he's like, huh.
Well, Dad has a little library there, so I'm sure
yeah.
he had the.
Yeah.
So Burley, I mean, I
Webster.
don't know. I don't want to give weights and size. He's probably 6'4",
We had gotten thin. Has he gotten bigger again?
250.
Okay.
On a
Maybe.
good, yeah, I mean, but he's got it's like he could tell his bones probably weigh at least 220 pounds.
Just a massive
He's a
human.
big man.
yeah, he's a big
And
boy.
he has
He's
let himself
muscular.
go as far as facial hair, and he probably hadn't had a haircut in decades.
or beard.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, none of
it. He looks like Santa Claus now because he's gotten older. And I told him, I was like, if it doesn't work out in your nursing thing, because he's been fired many times.
Well,
'cause
he was doing PRN work at one of the local hospitals in our area, and so he comes in there, and the charge nurse saw him. She said, "No,
yeah, exactly.
just go ahead and you can come back if you shave and cut that hair."
But he did say in the medical community, he's been real helpful because like people who are like have had drug problems
Yeah.
and are like combative, well, they send in Burley. Because I mean, let me tell you, you're not going to win in
Yeah.
some kind of hand to
But
hand.
for a man that's so massive and able to handle himself, he's very gentle with people.
Oh,
he's very
he has
kind.
a heart of, and Jesus,
Yeah.
created that. I worked with Burley when I was a early 20s trying to just make $1 right when he was converted. So I saw the transition and the good, sincere, soft-hearted Burley is a way better version of when I was working with him. But anyway, we go way back, and he's awesome. So he was there, and he's kind of helping a lot of what Phil did because Burley's an excellent builder and blind brusher. So he's just those 5 days he's been working on the property just for the love of hunting
He
and
owns a
helping
house
us
out there next to Mom and Dad.
He does. So that's through. We got Jay, Burley, me. Then we have the guy we nicknamed the blind builder who has been building the blinds. That's what he does. He builds houses.
Cody?
That's Cody.
Okay.
And because
You call
this-
him the blind builder, though?
We call him the
That's
blind
a long
builder.
nickname, right?
but it caught on,
Yeah.
know, because we say that on purpose.
Because you have to have some purpose for being.
Gotta have a purpose.
Well, and then we had one of Willie's son-in-law.
What do you
Okay,
call
now what do
him?
you call him?
Well, he's just
One of Willie's
Jacob.
son-in-laws.
Yeah, he's
He ain't got a name yet.
Well, I can't tell you. Willie calls it something, but I don't want to.
we affectionately call him the Duck Boys,
Yeah.
even though he's married to Willie's daughter, and he's like in training.
Yeah, he's a good kid.
But we purposely use that nickname for like Cody because we're trying to subtly tell the Duckmen in training, you need to bring
You
something
got to bring
to
some-
the
yeah,
table.
exactly. I get it.
I mean, Burley's going around brushing. Jay's doing what he does. I'm doing what I'm doing. What do you have to offer? This stage of their career, nothing. They sit there. And so it's us five. Well, 5 minutes in, I look up and I think that's a teal. So we cut one teal. Come flying by. He just came right in the decoys and lit. And so, as excited as I was to get on the board, he was so close in the middle of the decoys. I said, y'all shoot him. Well, when I said that, it alerted the teal and he got up. I'm just sitting there with my gun. It was ba-boom, and I'm looking at where the pellets are hitting the water.
Way behind him.
Nowhere close.
Oh, not even about.
Oh, no, just looked like
Random
they
shot.
shot from the hip. And so then the next two shots were me and Jay at the same time, and the duck folds. But I thought, And That was a bad sign about the gunners in the blind. And so Jay
When you
said,
can't see the pellets. That's not good.
so in the spirit of Phil, Jay said, who fired those first 2 shots? And it was Burley, who's never been known for his shotgunning,
He likes to shoot them on the water.
and Jacob, the Duckmen in training.
Okay.
And so I said, well, I've got a couple of tips. Number 1, make sure your eyes are open when you pull the trigger. Number 2, you need to get the bead of that little highlighted end of your barrel. You need to get that in the vicinity of the duck that you're shooting.
And out in front of him's even
I'm
better.
for them,
Yeah.
preferably.
So I just thought,
gotta
okay,
put a
but
lead
we
on it.
got him,
Yeah,
so
he struck.
so fine. So then 45 minutes goes by, nothing. We watched the sunrise, and I thought, well, we got one. I mean, I was
Yeah.
pretty pleased. I mean, and then the blind builder said, hey, is that ducks? And what he was pointing at, they were not ducks. But I looked to the left up high, and I said, oh, yeah, that's ducks. But he was pointing this way, and I was looking from the north high. And I thought,
Oh, so there was a little movement.
I said, well, it's one bunch. I said, there they are. And I was like, get out. So I called really loud because they were way off. Those things locked, and it was 14 teal. And we had a cameraman there. And they turned and came straight down and did what that one did. No pass.
I bet
Usually,
it sounded like a jet airplane.
and they lit. And as soon as they lit, I said 3, 2, 1, and let's go. That means everybody was familiar with the rule because I thought we're not getting any more.
Yeah,
this is the teal only fly early. So you kind of have the game within the game for duck hunting. What happened was when they lit, 3 lit right in front of me in the decoys. Then there was a little nest of 5 that was right to the left, and then all the rest of them were left of that. So usually you shoot where you are
The lanes.
in the lanes. But when I went 3, 2, 1, I saw the blind builder who's right beside me. His gun was going toward those 3. But in my mind, I was calculating, I've already seen these boys shoot. Two of the men, they can't shoot. That's obvious. So I'm thinking, well, if he shoots, because the blind builder's a pretty good shot, I was like, I need to go left first because I'm thinking I got 3 shells, but he's fixed to shoot at one of them that I'm going to shoot. So in 1 second, I went to those 5, and they were kind of together. So I went, boom, there, went back right immediately. Of course, what happens is they go in every direction. And I just tried to pick the hard ones at that point. One just come winging out wide open, dead right. And I, boom, got him. So then I look back, I have 1 shell left. And to my surprise, I look up, I only see 1 duck left. And it's leaving. And then there was, boom, a miss. Boom, the blind builder missed. And I'm like, I got 1 shell. And I just waited, because I thought, this is either the culmination of a great whacking or I'm going to miss. And I, boom, and he just folded. And everybody erupted because it was like.
Because he was out there.
And I was like, did we get them all? But somebody said, I saw 1 leave left. So I thought, really? But I got to looking and I thought, how did we do this? Because there were 14 teal. And we shot 13 of them.
That's impressive.
With with 2 misses.
Wow.
Because we saw the 2 misses.
Now,
So
granted,
then,
they were on the water, but
That's
still,
right, yeah.
I mean,
the first shot was
Yeah.
on the water.
Which is why you want a 3, 2, 1.
Yeah. And
you made the right move by going left, though. That was
made the right move.
so you must have hit that whole bunch in one swat.
No.
No.
I there was 5 of them there, and there
Yeah.
was a
Somebody else
couple.
was
There
probably
was
shooting
like
right there.
3 of them kind of in my vicinity. I mean, I know I got 1 of them, possibly 2.
But you hunt the right side of the blind, right?
I hunt the right side of the blind.
So everything was in front of the blind.
What I really think is I got 2 in 1 shot, and then I went boom, boom.
Yeah.
Well, Jay, because then what happens is an investigation. We were so shocked. I mean, this goes back to Duckmen days,
No,
being
that's a
that
good,
efficient.
you got it on camera?
got it on camera. But it was a wide view because it happened so fast.
Yeah.
And,
Teal hunting is very hard to get on camera because
It
it's
is
so
Fast.
quick.
Yeah.
And so it's out there somewhere. But so then Jay starts the investigation on how this happened. He's like, well, there were 2 misses. Everybody shot 3 times, so that's 15 shots. But now we're down to 13. And so we assume Jay killed at least 2 in one shot because he was in the big wad on the left. I killed 2 in one shot. That's 4. Then me and Jay both went 2 for 2 there.
Yeah.
But now we're already up to 8. Well, that only leaves them 5. And so we let them fight over the 5, which is pretty much what we talked about the rest
That's
of the
like
night.
that's like forensic, you know. You guys are doing a forensic investigation on the whole deal.
Oh, and that's always the way it is.
So the whole point of that story was the expectations were low, but it was so epic. I thought nothing that's going to happen the rest of this week is going to equal that.
Well, we got a duck hunter coming on the next segment.
And a fan of the podcast.
Fan of the podcast, duck hunter, and a
country
country,
singer.
music singer.
Because we are in Nashville.
We're in Nashville,
You got to
so-
have a country singer on the podcast. So let's introduce
Do
him
we
once
know who
come
this
back.
is?
We're
Or
going to
we're
wait. We're
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
wait.
Cliffhanger. All right.
So we talk a lot about life on this podcast, both from a biblical perspective, but also just for the fight for life that's going on in our culture right now. There was a recent Danish study that found that within a year after an abortion, women were 50% more likely to need psychiatric treatment and 87% more likely to have personality or behavioral disorders. So that's not women's health care. Lisa openly talks to audiences about the negative effect that abortion had on her in her spirit, in her mind, and even in her body. That's trauma. So for our good friends at Preborn, women receive care that truly heals. When a woman visits a Preborn Network clinic, she meets her baby for the first time through an ultrasound and is shown life instead of loss. And she's offered hope-filled options. But that's not all. When she chooses life, Preborn continues walking with her for up to 2 years, providing maternity clothes, diapers, counseling, and so much more. Preborn truly cares for the whole woman, body, mind, and soul, and the precious baby that's growing inside of her. As you think about your year-end giving, consider the greatest investment you could ever make, and that's the gift of life. You just dial pound 250, say the keyword baby. That's pound 250 baby. Or you can visit preborn.com/unashamed. That's preborn.com/unashamed. All gifts are tax deductible, and Preborn is a 5-star rated charity. We got a special guest on set, and this is a man that I could tell when he walked in with what he's wearing, he has fit into our world.
Hey,
Right?
look at this, and it stretches.
I see that.
And so I don't wear a shirt or a pair of pants that don't stretch anymore. And
Larry Fleet, welcome to the Unashamed podcast.
I'm excited, guys. I'm
You
not-
listen to the
I
podcast,
do,
right?
Yeah, for a few years now. So
And that thread count, that's what Dad would call your beard. That thread count is impressive.
and I even trimmed it up. So, yeah, look there.
Look, don't take this the wrong way. When you walked in, I looked up. I thought, "What's Willie doing here?"
You know what? For the longest time, I had long hair, and it was in a beard. And the way I was out playing, I wore a bandana, and then the whole Duck Dynasty, all that stuff come out, and I was like, "Dang, they're gonna think I look like Willie." People are like, "You trying to look like Willie?" I'm like, "I wasn't. I was doing it before. I even knew he was doing it."
You trying to look like me, yeah.
And but so shaved the head now. Still happening. You know what I mean?
I love it.
Hey,
I think it works with the trucker hat.
yeah, you know,
Yeah.
keeps your face warm. Bees get in it, and it's hard to get them out. Okay, but
And I'm just assuming no one has tried to mug you.
no, I don't. Not in a long time. You know, so yeah. I mean, I'm a pretty nice guy. You know, but I guess from a distance, you think twice. But
Yeah, I think
so I like that.
Oh, I do that in my speeches. I'm like, the beard has a lot of things going for it, which we got that from our dad. He used to always defend it because people were like,
Oh, yeah.
why don't you look more civilized? And he's like, keeps my face warm.
Yeah.
It's great camouflage. I'm saving money because I'm not wasting it on razors and
Yeah.
Dad used to say,
product.
"You don't grow a beard; it does that on its own.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
just getting in the way."
Yeah, let it do its thing. And yeah, I don't know. Here's the reason why I even grew a beard was when I played high school football. I was starting to grow facial hair, and my helmet would have the chin strap. Well, they'd make a shave, and it would break my chin out real bad because sweat and just rubbing around. And so I thought, well, I'm gonna fix that. I'm just gonna grow a little facial, just right here at least, Well, some kid ratted me out one day, and they handed me a single blade razor with a bar of soap and said, "Go shave that off." And I'm talking about I had to do it before the game. My whole face was just looked like I'd rolled around in poison ivy, And I said,
that was a rule.
That was a rule. They
you
made a
couldn't have
shave.
facial hair.
You could have a mustache. And I thought this is back before Morgan Wallen come out with a mustache, and everybody thought it was cool. And I was
What
like,
state was this in?
Tennessee, right down the road.
What
And
in the world's going on?
I know.
It seemed like if you could have facial hair in high school, they should give you an award or
You
something.
should be
know?
ahead of the class. That's
I
exactly.
looked like this in high school. I was, 6'1", 6'2", 300 pounds. So, I was a man by this time, and we're somewhat. And then, but yeah, I thought, you know what? When I get out of here, I'm never shaving again. I showed them, didn't I?
That's what
And here we are.
That's what Si said. He said, "When I retired the military boys, the razor went with it."
Yeah.
And he hasn't. He hasn't ever shaved, and he
That's
shouldn't.
funny. Well, my dad had all these rules, don't shave, don't mow the grass, because the same principle applied. But one of the rules, Al, you remember this? We couldn't listen to country music. It wasn't like a rule. It was just like, that's just stupid.
It was frowned upon.
Yeah,
he
and-
didn't like country music.
And so I finally went.
He was like a classic rock guy.
And so we never listened to country music. Like I was introduced to you yesterday, my son, because he's like, "Who you having on the podcast tomorrow?" And I was like, "Some guy named Larry Fleet." And he's like, "Some guy named Larry Fleet." He's like, and so in 2 seconds he played 2 songs of yours, and I was like, "Okay, I'm warming up to this." That really happened yesterday. But I was thinking about that story when I heard Hank Williams Jr., Country Boy Can't Survive. I thought, well, my dad's got to love this, because it basically.
It was an anthem for our life.
Yeah.
You know, it was what we lived.
I walked in there nervously because my dad is just so intimidating, and I said, "I want you to hear this song." But the first time, what I didn't factor in is the first time a 4-letter word came out in the song, I just never thought about it because I thought, well, those words are in the Bible, hell and damn, you know? My dad said, "Turn that off." So we were that close. We had him, and then
He
we
only
lost
could
him.
have gotten the lyrics without the 4-letter
You
words.
should have started with "I can skin a buck."
Yeah.
Well, he liked
Then
it
you're like,
until,
I'm
until he said that, and it made him uncomfortable. I don't know why, because I'd heard my dad say way worse. But he was like, "No, we quit all that, Jase."
Yeah.
But I thought it was funny. So that's kind of our history behind that. Why we just, I don't know how you would describe it, Al. Because he came from a classic rock background.
Yeah, Eagles,
And so,
CCR, that was
when we
his
built
kind of jam.
Duck Calls, that was the playlist before there was a playlist, and it was the
And
same
right
song.
up until the
But he did like Skinner. He liked Leonard
Oh, yeah,
Skinner.
Leonard
loved
Skinner,
Leonard
which is
Skinner.
kind of
Which
a
is kind of
bit
what
of
I
a-
haven't really met anybody that didn't like Skinner.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
was,
No, he had him way high up on the list. They actually tried the few remaining, members of the band and family tried to reach out to him, but he was taking a nap, which was another rule. You don't wake
me
him up. And he said, "Hey, if Leonard Skinner calls, you wake me up."
Or the president.
Or the president. That's what he said. That's pretty funny.
One of the members of Leonard Skinner died, I don't know, 2 or 3 years
Yeah.
ago, whatever it was, and we were out playing a festival in Oregon or somewhere, and this woman come back wanting to meet us, older lady, and she said, "Yeah, my brother, he played for Leonard Skinner, and he just died, and we played Where I Find God at the funeral. We're big fans." I thought, you kidding me? Like, what a what a crazy
Yeah.
thing, because I grew up listening to Skinner
Oh, yeah.
and Allman Brothers and things like
Oh,
that,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know. Because we're from the South, and they were too. you
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
And Southern rock. And so it's kind of cool because when I grew up, it was bluegrass. Like, we played bluegrass and like gospel stuff. but then it was like country music and some Southern rock. But we listened to Alabama, and you know, my parents got married to Alabama songs, so I knew every one of them. And it was, you know,
That's when you know you're
we're,
Southern.
we're rednecks.
Exactly.
You know? And so we grew up listening to that, Merle Haggard and George Jones. My granddaddy, he still is, but he, to this day, I think he thinks he is George Jones. And like, he had that hair and he'd slick it back. I mean, and it was, if you went in, he tried to look like him, talk like him, and he was, so, you know, we love George Jones, but we were very much of a country music kind of family. But
Well, it was funny for me. I went, when I was like a prodigal, I went through a rebellion phase in my teenage years, and I went country to be rebellious.
Burn my dad up.
Oh, he hated it. You know, I was Hank Williams Jr., George Jones, David Allen Coe. I mean, you know, it was all this kind of rebel country, you know, but I loved it for a period. And then I came back from the prodigal, and I guess I got blind. Then I didn't listen to much of anything. So I don't know. It just kind of.
What's weird is the only country music concert I've ever gone to, which I don't know if you know this, was a George Jones concert.
I've been to Georgia.
Me and Willie were doing an event in California, and he was out there. This is like right before he died.
Oh, wow.
He didn't even sing. He just like talked the word.
Yeah.
But everybody was cheering.
Oh, yeah.
and,
By
you
then,
know,
it's a respect thing.
I just felt like, man, this guy. I was impressed just because
I saw him
thought,
in New Orleans, but it's funny. He was doing a makeup concert for one he had like gotten too drunk to do, so it was like forced to do it. So he sang like 4 songs and walked off. It was like he was like a forced
contract fulfilled.
Exactly,
I'm out,
exactly.
You know what was so funny about that night, though? Because he was getting close to the end of his life, and he talked about the Lord a lot,
Yeah.
you know? And it was just kind of nostalgic. I'm glad I went then.
Yeah.
It was pretty incredible.
I watched that. One of the HBO or somebody did a thing about George and Tammy.
Yeah,
which
yeah.
I was
excellent.
intrigued. It was so good. It was just like, man, it let you know a lot about the early part of their lives that I didn't know.
I grew up. I love country music. I always have. But to me, it's about. I mean, it really is kind of our childhood. Really, a lot of those songs, and even like I love what you're doing too, because you're. I feel like you're sharing the gospel in a different kind of way. You know what I mean? It's not you ain't have
The
to
working man way.
Yeah,
It's-
exactly. Getting excited about hunting season? Are you kind of getting that itch? Are you ready to get out there and get after it?
Oh, I'm full scale excitement. The weather's cooler, the leaves are starting to change colors, and lots of waterfowl and other animals are starting the process that happens every year.
So we have obviously a large hunting property that our dad and Jase and Willie and others bought together. The whole idea is to conserve. To be able to build this wetland. And our good friends that create the federal duck stamp, which for years was just something we had to have to hunt, now we realize that they're also effective conservation tools. Almost every dollar that you spend on the federal duck stamp goes straight to buying and protecting wetland habitat. Because of the duck stamp, millions of acres of land are still wild today. Places that feed the birds and the deer, filter the water, and show God's glory in creation. Without the kind of work that duck stamp supports, a lot of the spots that we grew up hunting would be gone by now. They'd be drained, they'd be developed, and they'd be destroyed. And so we want to help conservation. We want to keep this going for future generations. Digital and physical, they've got both at duckstamp.com/unashamed. It's easy. It makes a big difference. Duckstamp.com/unashamed. Get yours today.
For people like me who, I mean, I discovered you yesterday, but I was impressed. I thought, now how did this happen? So maybe you can share kind of how that happened. I mean, country
we
music.
converted one. All right, we got one.
But country music in general is not characterized by the 2 songs I heard yesterday. Is what I'm saying.
Well, Where I Find God was just, man, that's.
Well, that one was a big one. That's the one that's built the whole thing,
Yeah, right.
really. But and what a better, I couldn't think of a better song to build a career off of. But
Exactly.
mine started rough. I played the bars, and I did what nowadays it's sort of there's so much social media and TikTok and all the things, and people are like they're getting record deals and they've never even played a show before.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't have that, so I had to do it the old-fashioned way, and it was develop a drinking problem and go to the bar, And so I learned everything. I mean,
Alcoholism was just
that's it.
The highway into
It's part of the path,
exactly.
And but I mean, I think it was. Well, growing up, like I said, I played bluegrass music, which I'm very thankful for because if you can play bluegrass, you can play anything. It's a very technical thing to play. So we had that. We had, gospel influences in there.
Did you grow up in church?
Not really.
So there is well, it's interesting. My last event was last weekend in South Carolina, and before I got up, they had a bluegrass band.
They had a bluegrass band for me in Oregon last week, of all places,
Hey.
and they were fantastic. But you could tell they had some gospel overtones in theirs because they did a couple of old hymns. I could hear it in there doing it bluegrass, but it was so good.
Well, and it was just it was kind of weird for me because I'm not into that.
Oh, well,
because they all had and I met them backstage before they got up there, and I was like, "No, what do y'all do?" Because they looked like they were like fixing to carry a casket somewhere. They all had the same outfit,
dressed alike,
but one guy had a different outfit, and I thought, "Look, I know this is a crazy question. Why does he have a different outfit than y'all?" And one of the guys said, "He's better."
I mean,
He earned it.
And they went up
man.
there, and it was just and I thought, boy, I've never had a lead in by bluegrass.
But that was so bluegrass was your kind of base.
Will the circle be unbroken? We do all those things because that was bluegrass stuff.
Yeah.
And so, and we all would sit on it was my great aunt and Uncle Jim and Aunt Sue. We'd go to their house, and that's where everybody sat. And that's how I learned to play music was at their house on the back porch. And mostly because my cousin, who was a year older than me, he was about 6 or 7 at the time, and he was another little chubby kid, and he's playing fiddle. And I was like, okay, well, I want to play too. And he said, well, here's a guitar. We'll teach you a couple of chords. You can learn how to play, and you can play with us. So that was all I cared about was being able to play with them. And so everybody just kind of joined in. But bluegrass was a lot of old gospel hymns, what it was. You just speed them up or slow them down or put a little twang to it. And so that's what we do. And so that's how I started. And then, the Ryman Auditorium up here?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I actually played there when I was about 7 years old.
Really?
In the bluegrass band.
Yeah.
Did anybody film that?
Yeah, it's somewhere on a VHS.
Were
tape.
you dressed different than everybody else?
I had a Garth Brooks shirt on.
Okay.
And,
Oh, wow.
it was one of them that was like the black and white, like whatever from the. This is the 90s.
Right.
And so I mean, it was cool at the time. I had a big old cowboy hat on. I'm just 6 or 7 years old.
Yeah.
But it was fun, and that's how it started. And I always say that I started at the Ryman and it went downhill. And so, you start there at the mother church and then you end up in the bar. But so by the time I had made it to high school, I started writing songs and stuff like that because I was bored of playing everybody else's songs. And I had a knack for making things rhyme, I guess. But so I started there, and then we get to college, and everybody's sitting around, and I just happened to be the guy that could play, and I knew a few songs.
Yeah.
So,
So you're the leader.
I'm the leader, and I would kill deer, and I would bring them up there. We would cook backstraps, and I would sit and play music.
That's a good deal for everybody else.
That's the ultimate.
That's how I got my wife.
Exactly.
And that had a cool truck, And so I sit there, and we would kind of play, and the way it started, I never intended on being anything in the music. Like, I never thought that. I didn't know you can make money at it, I didn't know that was a career path. And so I'm in college. I'm kind of doing this, and people told me enough times, "You're pretty good, man. Like you ought to go play somewhere." I'm like, you're drunk. I'm not. I'm not going to do that. And so I ended up kind of believing them after a while. And so my cousin was like, "Hey, I've got this little bar gig down the road over here. Why don't you come and play my set breaks?" So he would play, and he would have a 15, 20-minute break, and I would get up and play. And so I did that the first night, and they gave me like $40 in tips, and I was like, "We're on to something." Okay, this is okay. And so, at the time I was probably laying brick or something, making $8 an hour. So I thought, well, that was 4 hours of work. I did it, had fun. So that kind of kickstarted it, and it gave me this fire to do it. Well, then I started writing songs, and all my friends were like, "Man, you were awesome. You were so good." And I was like, "You know what I am?" And then I went to my first songwriter show, and I was awful. And everybody was so much better because there was a guy that wrote a bunch of songs for Hank Jr., and they're all sitting up there playing these great songs. And I'm like, I shouldn't even be here. Like this, I'm terrible. So that just made me want to go back and write more songs. And I was like, I'm going to be the best songwriter that I can be. So I just focused in on writing songs and playing, and God gave me a gift to sing. I never took a lesson. I don't know anything about singing. I just did it, and it worked. So, years go by and I'm playing the bars, I'm writing the songs, and I got a couple little publishing deals and things like that, and nothing would ever really take off. And finally, me and my wife had gotten together, and I said, I tell you what, I'm going to go back to pouring concrete because I'm not going to be an old man sitting in a bar trying to make it. Yeah. I need to be a real man here. So I started pouring concrete again. That's what my dad does, and all of us kind of did.
Yeah.
So I'm pouring concrete, and I'm giving you the condensed version here as it goes for years. But so I'm at this point, I've kind of stepped away from everything. I'm pouring concrete. I'm living a decent life, making all right money. And then I would go to the bars and play on the weekends because I needed tires on my truck.
Yeah,
I'm trying to make a little
money.
cash, And so I'm doing that, and then I meet my bass player at the time. I call him Crazy Legs. If you ever come to a show, you'll understand why. But he's the dancer of the band. So we meet at this bar, and I'm like, this guy's good. I like him. He was cool. So I said, why don't we just start our own thing? We're not going to make any money at it, but we'll have fun. We'll go down the studio, and we'll record some stuff. We took the drummer that night. I just took this guy's band, and I just said, y'all come play with me. And so we did, and we kind of started this up. Well, then that started working, and we started playing the little things on the weekends. And I thought that was all it was going to be. And then a guy called me one night and said, I want you to come and play my wedding or wedding party kind of thing, reception thing. And say, hey, for some barbecue and a couple $100, I'll play about anything. So we went over there. I went over there by myself and played. Well, a guy named Jake Owen, another country singer, walks in. And I was like, oh, I know him,
Yeah.
What's he doing here? I was in a barn, literally a barn. And he come in and said, watch me play Merle Haggard songs and stuff I'd written. And we get to talking. He's like, well, who you signed with? You got a record deal? I said, no, I poured concrete, dude. And he was like, so you don't have any kind of deal? I said, no. Like, this guy paid me a few $100, That's why I'm here. He was like, you've got to quit your job. You got to make this thing happen. I said, well, I'll tell you what, you take me on the road with you and we'll see what happens. Well, he called me like the next week and said, get your stuff, let's go. And I said, all right. So I talked to my wife. She was like, I feel like you ought to do it,
Yeah.
So Harry, my boss at work, I said, Harry, I got to at least give this a shot, right? And he goes, yeah, go for it. He goes, if it don't work, you just come on back. I'll give you a job back. I said, all right. And I've never poured another concrete day in my life. And so that's kind of how it happened for me.
Are you looking to do something to better your health? Well, look no further than right here. Kimchi One from Bright Core Nutrition. I've been taking this stuff. It's absolutely amazing. Kimchi One delivers the all-powerful fermented nutrition of kimchi, but it's an easy-to-take capsule, so it gives your gut over 900 unique probiotic strains to support healthy digestion and just overall health, because here's what you need to know, that all health begins in the gut. And when you give your body the right fermented superfood, you can support your immune system, you can improve your digestion, you can even boost the appearance of your skin, your hair, your nails. Kimchi has been shown to help reduce the risk of obesity and support a slimmer waistline as well. I love kimchi, but my wife doesn't let me eat it in the house because it does kind of have a strong odor. So that's why I take Kimchi One. It's an all-natural, non-GMO, made right here in the US of A. It's crafted by Bright Core Nutrition. This is a company committed to health and integrity. My friend Gary's been taking this. He's actually lost, I think he said 20, 25 pounds since he's been on it. It's absolutely amazing. I'm telling you, you're going to tell the difference. So today you can take advantage of an exclusive offer, 25% off with the code Unashamed when you visit mybrightcore.com/unashamed. Or you can just call my friends at Brightcore at 888-404-9677 for up to 50% off plus free shipping. Their knowledgeable team will help you decide if Kimchi One is right for you. That's 888-404-9677 or visit mybrightcore.com/unashamed.
What really made it happen blow up was I was going to church and I was playing when all this is starting to happen. And Jake told me, he said, you got to build your social media. And I was like, well, how do you do that? And he goes, well, just, I don't know, play video or like record songs, like do stuff, and people will follow you. I was like, all right. And so the only thing I knew to do was we would go to church at this time, and I would come home and I would just play whatever song we played at church because I could play. And this time we're living in Chattanooga, so there wasn't a whole lot to pick from. I was the guy that had to go play, and so whatever I played at church, I'd play it and video it and put it on social media, on Facebook and all that. And that I called it Gospel Song Sunday. Well, that become a thing. Yeah. And all of a sudden, people every Sunday, we want to see that, man. We want to see it. And I was like, all right. Then a woman named Connie Harrington called me, which is a huge songwriter in town. I'm a big fan of hers. And I was like, hey, what's up? She's like, I've seen your Gospel Song Sunday. Like, I would love to write with you. And this is at the time the biggest thing had ever, the songwriter was, hadn't really happened to me. And I was like, yes, yeah, all right. So the first time I ever met her, we sat down to write a song. We had a cup of coffee and we wrote Where I Find God. And it was based off of Gospel Song Sunday. And I didn't have a record deal. I had nothing, really happen. I was just writing songs at this point. And that was, there was a couple of big artists, real big country artists, and they were wanting to record that song. So if that would have happened at that point in time in my life, that was life-changing for me and my family.
Yeah, right.
To get a big song like that. So I was like, yeah, this is great, Well, it went for a year, and this guy had it on hold to record, and then he never recorded it. And I messed around and got myself a record deal. And they said, well, what do you want to do? I said, I got one. And I went in and recorded Where I Find God. And they put it on the shelf and did not release it for over a year. And because I got the record deal, they put out 8 songs that they thought was gonna work, and here's a whiskey song, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. And it got me a little buzz going. But I said, I got this song, guys. I think there's something to it. I don't know. It didn't really. They rate all your songs at the record label, So it only ranked like a 3 out of 5 or something. I said, I think we're wrong. I think we're missing it. So, anyways, I talked them into it, and I said, let's put it out on Good Friday. It's called Where I Find God. It'd be a great time to release this song. Yeah. They said, okay, we'll give you a little money, you make a music video with it. And so most music videos, they're going to give you $50,000 to $100,000. They gave me $3,000.
Get your cell phone camera out.
I said,
your ring light.
Sounds like what we got going on right here.
I said, well, all right. So I called up my buddy. I said, can you help me? And he was like, yeah. He had done a couple other videos, and he knew I didn't have any money, and he was sort of just getting by and trying to get it going too. And he said, yeah, let's go. So we went down to Lake Martin in Alabama, and our friends of ours had a place down there. So my little boy at the time was about 6 months old. I said, I'm going to get in that Kawasaki mule over there, and I'm just going to ride around, and you just follow me in the truck. And he's sitting on the truck bed, follow me. And we're doing that, and I'm standing out by the lake. We're doing a few things together, went down by the church, and that was it. $3,000. I did a couple of acoustic videos. We put it out. That song exploded because it come out April, I think it was April 10th, which would have been Good Friday of 2020. So the world just shut down.
Yeah.
And I was like, when we put it out, about the first week it was out, it got 1 million views. And I was like, well, we on to something. And it just kept going and kept going and kept going. And then the record label hit me up and like, well, I think we might be on to one.
They were about 4.5 out of 5 now.
Okay. I said,
At what point did it become their idea?
as soon as it worked. And which I don't care whose idea.
Exactly.
Well, I said, hey, whatever.
Probably God's idea,
Exactly. Well, and I think everything worked out exactly as it's supposed to. And by this time, I'm 33, 34 years old or whatever. Most kids are coming up getting their record deals in their early 20s.
Yeah.
So I'm on, the backside of that a little bit. And they said, we're going to take it to radio. So I have a double first verse ballad called Where I Find God that's 4 minutes long. Are you going to try to get that played on country radio? So it comes out, and everybody loved it, but they would not work it up the chart at all. And so it just sort of just stayed on the radio for over a year. And we had the hardest time trying to get people to accept it in the radio business, you know?
Right.
And but I had a lot of champions that was really good to me. So But it did its job. I told everybody, I said, if you will just play it, that's all I don't care if it's a number one hit or not. Because I think there's people need to hear it. And I think that's the goal here. I don't care, if it's a number one or not. So I finally talked enough people into it, I guess, and they played it. But that song, everybody thought it was a number one. It didn't even break top 40. And then they pulled it off the radio. But then it just kept coming back. It won't go away. And so then I went on tour with Morgan Wallen, and that he was like, let's do that song together. So we did it at Madison Square Garden or something one night, and we did a video of it, and that thing's got like 100 million views. And then I went to Australia in March, and I played Where I Find God for 23,000 people in Australia. Wow. And I was like, I've never been here. You'd have thought I was the Beatles out there. And I was like, what's going on? And 23,000 people sing Where I Find God.
Wow.
And I was like,
they
wow.
knew the words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They knew every bit of it.
Yeah.
And so it's the song, this is the song that never ends. It was like, that's the way I feel about it. It just keeps working and keeps grinding. But every day there's new people that hear it for the first time. And I love it because I'm known for a song called Where I Find God.
Yeah.
In the country
That's a
music
good song
world,
to be known by.
Exactly. I think so. And so then I said, man, this is what I want to do. So what that did was allow me to do music the way I wanted to do it. And so, I didn't have to do, nothing against what everybody else is doing, but that's not what I want to do.
Right.
I want to sing, some dude tried to criticize me the other day on some thing, and he said, all he ever sings about is faith, family, and working hard. I said, you got it, buddy. That's exactly what I do. And
so how did that transition like in your life? I mean, because you said you started off in bars and was drinking way too much. So there had to be some kind of epiphany in there.
Yeah. So, I was listening to y'all talk on a few episodes ago, whatever, about just sort of your wife or something getting saved early and then again later.
Right.
That was what happened to me.
Yeah.
Because in high school, I was kind of after this girl, you know what I mean? And she was like going to church, a big in church, which helped me tremendously because I'd never really done a whole lot in church. And so that got me in the doors. And then, God was working with me, but I did not know exactly what was happening.
Yeah. You were distracted by the girl.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, Jase, the holiday season is upon us, and when you think about Thanksgiving, sweet potato pies, pecan pies, I mean, the eating and the Robertsons kind of go together, right?
Yeah, and it's coming.
So those of us who have struggled a bit in the past with weight, we always have to be aware of that, and I do as well. I've been on this weight loss journey with PhD Weight Loss, and I've lost over 70 pounds now, which has been a great blessing for me. Take control. You can skip that holiday weight gain. The good folks at PhD tell you what to eat, when to eat, how to eat, and have the right relationship with food. Which really does change a lot of your perspective. It's all about resetting your metabolism and burning fat. That's what they're into. And they're really great. It's not starvation. It's not all the big workout stuff, no shots, no gimmicks, none of that stuff. You will do better. And it's a science-based system that works. And it has worked for me. You've seen the difference. If you're watching on YouTube, it's a picture of me in the before and after. And as you can see, I'm not only look better, but I'm much healthier. My meds have been cut almost completely out. I don't have a CPAP machine anymore. So it's definitely feeling better, looking better. Right now, for November only, PhD Weight Loss is making it even easier to get started. They'll waive your consultation fee, add 2 weeks to your program for free, and even cover the cost of your food. Just for booking, you'll also get 5 steps to reset the scale. Mention code 2026START when you call PhD Weight Loss at 864-644-1900 or visit myphdweightloss.com. And that's exactly the way she describes hers. She said, I was baptized into the Robertson family, not into Christ. And she said, at 33, I finally figured out I needed a relationship with him.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what changed.
And that was kind of me. It was like, I'm there, kind of chasing a girl, and then I'm hearing bits and pieces.
Yeah.
So then that was getting it started. And then whenever I went on my own way, she did hers, and it was like, so now I'm out in the world, and you know how it is for a kid coming out of high school, going to college. That's a tough time.
Absolutely.
A lot of influence.
Yeah.
And so I had no good influences. I had my good friends or whatever, but we were all doing the same thing. You're drinking, you're running wild, and you're just in the world. And so I did that for years. And then it was a little bit later, I started going, I was like, I can get back in church, you know? So we started going, and I actually went and got baptized in my early 20s. And then I was like, okay, this is it. I'm making the change. Well, I soon got drugged back into the world, you know?
Exactly.
And then I thought, all right. And then once me and my wife got together, I was trying to get away from everything. I just didn't feel right, you know? So when we got together, her uncle's a Baptist preacher. And so we went to church.
Yeah.
And that was, I started kind of making friends inside the church and different preachers and people that was kind of helping me out. And I tell people all the time, this is how it worked for me, and I think happens for a lot of people, is just because you get saved doesn't mean your life is changing exactly that day. It's a thing that takes forever.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you're working on it for a long time.
Right.
Exactly.
And so that was me. That was my case. So once we got together, my wife and I actually got baptized in the Tennessee River together.
Oh,
It was cool. And that was, around, I don't know, probably 10, or close to 10 years ago or so now.
Yeah.
And before we had kids and stuff, and it was like, we got to get it together. And so we did, and we, dove into church and started getting the groups around us, doing small groups. But that was my change, and I think that's whenever, because if you'd have give me money and fame in my 20s, I'd be dead probably.
Yeah.
I would have blew it. It'd have been a disaster.
You weren't ready for it.
I wasn't ready.
Yeah.
And I think that once I understood what I was doing, and it was like, okay, this is what you should be doing and what you should be working towards, which is God. And when I did that, that's where I found God come along. That's when the record deal. That's when everything started happening that never happened before. It finally was like, now's your time. And so whenever that happened, I said, okay, I'm all in. And like I said, I'm like anybody else. So you battle with it every day.
Sure.
In this world, in entertainment type industry, you get pulled a million different directions, and somebody's always, chirping over your shoulder about something. So you have to stay very focused, and you make sure you surround yourself with the right people around you, because that's something we battle with every day.
Yeah, what I found kind of nostalgic about the two songs that I listened to, because I go back to my childhood, our dad, there's been a movie about his past and all, but in an effort to become a better father, he started taking us hunting. And I had the same experience as that song, because I'm looking around for the first time thinking, I think somebody created this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it was not really found in a church setting, but more just because I love fishing and hunting. Mm-hmm. And so when I eventually got to John, and I'm like reading it for myself, I'm like, he picked a bunch of fishermen, that's all we did. That's how we made a living before the duck calls. And so I think that's why that song really resonates with people, because you think back on your life, and there is something about that Romans 1 that says
I just think about that.
We're without excuse because of God's divine nature being seen.
Yeah.
And
By what has been made. The creation itself speaks to the very nature of God.
I always make a joke that to people who don't believe in God, it's not funny, but I'm like, look, I've blown up a lot of stuff in my life, because they're all about there was a big bang, and there's matter and we don't know where it all came from. But I'm like, every time I blow something up, it's complete chaos, not perfect order with,
It didn't mold itself into something.
Yeah,
good,
I'm like, so this is not making any sense to me. So I went through all those questions that I was coming up. But I think that's why the song works, because you're basically using something that God said is undeniable. People look around at creation. That's why hunters and fishermen and outdoors people, it's just very hard for us not to believe in God.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. I mean, I think, for me, it was going to church and stuff. But you always, I don't know, y'all probably like you feel God tug at you at church sometimes. And that was what happened to me early on.
Yeah.
I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then my dad would take us hunting, me and my brother. We got a brother that's 4 years younger than me. And so we would go turkey hunting, deer hunting, duck hunting, whatever. And that was always the time I felt like I could see God, or at least what he has done. And so that kind of made me think. I was like, how could somebody not believe in God if you've ever walked outside, and just took a look around, or
with an open mind and just say, what happened?
Yeah, well, yeah, and how everything is perfectly created. You can't replicate that, and everything has been laid out perfectly, and that's what was always kind of mind blowing. You can't make that up, and it was, I think, in my line of work too, what I talk to a lot of people about is they have trouble. They'll say, well, I don't know. I think there could be a creator, but, I don't know if it, the Jesus and all that. And I'm like, all right. And so that's kind of, to kind of fast forward to how this music has got me here in my story. Like, mine come from outdoors and all that stuff. But now I think where I'm at, it's really cool that I get to sing a song that gets to millions and millions of people, but it can change their way of thinking with a song. Yeah. And so just like, from a hayfield in a Chevrolet back to Nashville and all, like I've talked to God more in a cab of a truck driving down a back road than I have in church, I can tell you that. And sitting in a deer stand when that sun starts to crack up and it's the coldest part of the morning, you know what I mean? Yeah. Or in the duck blind, like it's beautiful. Like that is God's creation right there. And so all of those made it undeniable to me that this is what it is. And with Paul and everybody, like how terrible like some of the disciples were.
Oh yeah.
And it gives me hope because I'm like, well, I was pretty terrible for a long time. Yeah. And so that's kind of when I'm talking to people, like that is the gospel, what I mean? Like, I'll tell you, I listen to y'all's podcast a lot. And so y'all got a good way of putting things. And I'm going to say it. I've ripped off a few lines, okay? And so
use them.
Well, yeah,
They're Holy Spirit.
You've got a real good way to lay it out for a good old country boy,
Do you think Jase is too rough on me? What's your opinion on that? Since you
I don't know. I'm rough on my buddies too. It's like
exactly. Yeah, I'm trying to tell him that's a sign that I love him.
Zach is always like the one that would lay it out to where I was like, I don't know what he said, but you know what I mean?
But it sounded really good.
And I'm on board with it. Yeah.
And then we translate that.
Exactly.
Well, Larry, it's been a blessing having you on. And, it may have started with where I find God, but it's obvious now it's where God has found you.
Yeah.
Oh,
and that's the power of what you're doing going forward. So, man, we're glad to have you in Unashamed Nation. And now we're in Larry Fleet Nation. So, we're in your neck
we're
on board.
Well, thank you. I mean,
I'm a one-day follower.
Yes. Yeah, we got one. I appreciate y'all having me. Like I've done a lot of podcasts, but I'm telling you, I was excited. I was super excited because we've been listening to this for years, and I tell everybody about it. So I'm spreading the good news about Unashamed.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming.
Spreading the good news about Larry Fleet.
That's right. Yeah. See you next time. Thanks for listening to the Unashamed podcast. Help us out by leaving a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. And don't miss an episode by subscribing on YouTube. And be sure to click the little bell and choose all notifications to watch every episode.